All right, guys, I'm joined by Robert Gagliardi of multiple newspapers. He is the Wyoming beat writer. What a crazy night it was inside Bobcat Stadium. The windows are foggy behind us. That just means rain, or the Bobcats were so hot tonight they just fogged it up. It was 42-21. Texas State wins, improves to 3-1. Wyoming falls to 3-2. Now, Robert, your initial thoughts of this game?
I was really impressed by Texas State. I knew they were going to be, a very good defensive team. I was really impressed how physical they were, and they pretty much set the tempo of this game. And starting a true freshman quarterback, I think Wyoming fans remember when Brett Smith started in 2011. That really sparked this team. Tyler Jones did the same thing for them early. Had a big run early in the early drives, and it just fed from there. He threw it well, he ran it well, and Texas State ran the ball. I mean, Texas State imposed its will on Wyoming throughout. The way they ran the ball, the way they stopped Wyoming's run, the way they pressured Brett Smith, the quarterback. I mean, a lot of people in Wyoming might say Wyoming didn't come ready to play or wasn't into it. That may be so, but I thought Texas State was impressive tonight. They set the tone of this game early on both sides of the football.
And from Wyoming after the game, what was their impression of that 3 hour and 28-minute delay? Was it along the lines of, oh man, we wish we didn't have that, or was it just like, okay, Texas State went through the same thing too, so we had to get out there and play?
Yeah, it was much, so Texas State went through it too, and after the delay, actually, the game was tied. Wyoming, not immediately after when they got back on the field, Wyoming did take a 14-7 lead, and you maybe thought from Wyoming State, was like, all right, settle down, maybe, a lot of the crowd had left, a lot of the energy in the stadium was gone. Maybe if you're Wyoming, you're kind of thinking, oh, maybe we take advantage of this. Wyoming took a lead, but then Texas State scored 28 unanswered points after that, so much for that theory.
Exactly.
Wyoming didn't like the delay, but, they knew Texas State went through too. They tried to stay loose, do whatever they could. I don't know how it really affected anyone. Wyoming came out and did pretty well early, and then Texas State obviously came out and did really well. So I don't know. It certainly wasn't fun for us as journalists or for fans or anyone else. I'm not really sure what kind of effect it really had on the teams.
But one of the biggest things that I noticed is that if you came into this game thinking that there's going to be a power run team that's going to get into that second level and put people on their ass, just to say that, I would have said, it would have been Wyoming.
Right.
Because they came in this game one of the best rushing teams in the nation, one of the best passing teams in the nation, one of the best offenses in the nation. But what do you think Texas State did from a defensive standpoint to limit their rush?
I think defensively, Texas State they were very physical. I think that 3-3-5 front or that scheme really confused Wyoming at times. I think they were more aggressive. I think they came at Brett Smith with a lot of angles. I think a lot of their two tackles, who are new this year, although they're junior college transfers who redshirted, I think that phased them a little bit. I know Wyoming subbed their center out during the first half. It wasn't because of an injury. It was because he was getting worked pretty good. It came back in. I just think Texas State was just more physical. Maybe they did some schemes, did some things maybe to try to confuse Wyoming, although no one really said that. I just think they were just more physical and more aggressive, and Wyoming had a hard time adjusting to it.
And one of the biggest things that I noticed about this game, my turning point personally, was when Tyler Jones threw that beautiful ball in the corner of the end zone, down near the end zone complex, to Ben Ija, just over his shoulder, touchdown right before the half. Wyoming had just gone up. Texas State didn't have much time left, but then Andy Erickson got a big punt return. They ran this little screen pass down the Wyoming sideline, then Jones hit him across the field. What was your turning point in this game? What do you think really set the tone for?
I think this touchdown right before halftime like that, and that pass that Jones made, that was a beautiful pass. And to me, and I don't know what you said, I thought the coverage was great. You just put the ball where only either the receiver could catch or was going to be incomplete. For a true freshman to have that kind of touch and on a ball like that, near the end, 2-minute offense, that was a pretty big point. But that was also very impressive to see. And I think that was big, and then after that, Wyoming couldn't recover. They maybe get a stop on defense, but that Texas State defense just could not. Wyoming couldn't figure them out. They figured them out at times, or did some decent things at times, but I never thought Brett Smith was comfortable all night. The run game, 64 yards, a season low, when their previous season low was 173. Wow, that's impressive. I don't think Wyoming played its best game, but I don't want to take. I thought Texas State was very good. Texas State plays like that, they're going to win some games in the Sun Belt. This is how Wyoming lost a lot of games. This is a lot of reasons why Wyoming was 4-8 last year with some of the problems it had tonight. We'll see if they can get them fixed. But Texas State, they may have found a quarterback, and they're 3-1. They're on their way to a pretty good season. But this could be the spark of something for Texas State, I think.
And the thing with Jones is that Fran said he might have found the quarter. I talked to him Friday night, and he said we might have found the quarterback of the future. We might have found the quarterback of the present, but we need to play him to find out. I think tonight Jones really asserted himself, like you said, Brett Smith, to take over sole possession of that role. Brett Smith just didn't look right to me tonight. He just didn't look comfortable in the pocket. Texas State did a good job of rattling him a little bit. What do you think Brett Smith needs to do to bounce back from this game? Or is this just an anomaly for him?
Well, I think he'll be as determined as anyone to bounce back. I'm sure his teammates are. I thought it hurt Brett when Dominic Refran went out in the first half. Looked like it was a shoulder injury. Didn't come back. Now there's a lot of rather good receivers on this team, but I think he was his go-to guy. I think that hurt him a little bit. They'll go back and study the film. They have an off week this coming week, so they'll work on that. But back to your point on Jones, I think what you said is true, and I'm sure what Fran thinks. But it also helped him a lot that the run game was so effective with Nuttall and obviously Lowe. He didn't have to. Jones didn't have to throw it 40 times.
Yeah.
The run game was there, and that set up his passing. And I'm not taking away the throws that he made, but especially as a true freshman making your first ever start, you have a run game like that, that'll take a ton of pressure off anybody. And again, not to take any credit away from Jones because he was awful good. That run game took a lot of pressure off him tonight, I thought.
And when Lowe carries the ball 30 times for 138 yards, reaches the end zone 3 times, no one expected Robert Lowe to be this workhorse running back.
Mm-hmm.
He's this heavy hitter guy, but 30 carries is a lot of carries.
Right.
But overall, that rush attack was pretty good for Texas. I saw them getting on the second level a lot, knocking people down. The Texas State's running backs followed their blocks well and got to those touchdowns. They reached the end zone 5 times for Texas State's running backs, not all in Lowe. But from a Wyoming standpoint, do you feel that Texas State gave opposing teams in Wyoming a blueprint on how to beat this team, or do you think this was just along the lines of, we got to see what we can do better and then we'll bounce back?
Well, there's not a lot of teams in the Mountain West that run a 3-3-5. They do some variations, but I think they'll see some of the schemes that Texas State use, and they'll maybe try to do some either blitzes or some things around the end. So I think there's something there to be seen. And what Texas State did against Wyoming's, how they ran it on them. Look, Nebraska and Air Force both had 300 plus yards on them. So it wasn't like the rush defense was stellar, but this was alarming because they just got out physical. Than seemed like Wyoming. Even the running backs were more physical than Wyoming's defense. And I thought Wyoming was trying to more strip the ball at times instead of make tackling. Tackling was an issue last year. That was far and away their worst tackling game. There might be some things, as far as attacking Brett Smith and rushing the quarterback, and maybe some schemes that Texas State did. I don't know if teams are going to all go to a 3-3-5 defense now, like Texas State, but there's certainly some things. I think Wyoming, they've proven even in some of their good years, they've had some rough games. They bounced back. Now they got a little bit of time to think about. Maybe that's good. Maybe that's bad. We'll see. But I think they'll bounce back. But definitely they're leaving here battered physically and battered a little bit mentally, and the ego took a little bit of a hit here tonight.
And that's exactly what happened in Texas State after that 2011 game in Laramie when the Bobcats went in there. I was talking with Jamie Clavel Head before I think it was Wednesday, and he said we went into that Wyoming game thinking we could beat those guys. I said, really? You guys were the FCS team. He's like, yeah, they didn't look too good on tape. Well, that second half truly taught him a lesson. I think they kind of returned the favor tonight in that second half when they just opened it up to 35-14 and just kind of knocked them out of it. But overall, I'm thinking Wyoming is still a bowl team. I think they can still. Brett Smith is going to be a great quarter. Ruffrin's going to come back, and Herron's a solid player. Their line is solid. But what do you make of Texas State? Do you think 4 more wins is a possibility for this team?
Oh, I definitely think so. I'm not going to say I'm an expert on Sun Belt football, but I like if they run the ball like that, or is physical on defense and with a quarterback, where they don't have to maybe put it all on his shoulders all at once. I definitely think this team could be a contender in the Sun Belt. I was impressed. Again, I didn't think Wyoming would roll in here. I thought it would be tough, but how Texas State played physically and their game plan and everything, I was impressed. This team's going to have it's going to be a fun team to watch. I think there's going to be some success, and I wouldn't be surprised if Texas State's bowling this season either.
Hey, that would be a welcome sight for the Bobcats in just their second year in the FBS. But guys, that's going to do it. For Robert Gagliardi, I'm Tyler Mayforth. Thanks for joining us.